are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports One. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Sport. And today, it is the Barnes, Tony, Renee, and Michael from the Couch Show.
Hey.
How's everyone doing today?
Michael, your mic wasn't on. I'm doing great. Thank you very much, Brian. Wonderful Tuesday here. Beautiful day out there. You know, nice and sunny, a little chilly.
Little
Love it,
chilly,
dude.
Tony? I still just don't get it. I don't know. I think personally, deep down, you don't like it. You just want to say like it. Just
That's
show
ridiculous, Brian.
To show some toughness. I honestly think that's what it is.
I don't need to show
Michael?
toughness, dude. Everyone knows I'm already tough.
Can we attest here?
I think maybe XLR, a little finicky. Yeah. Oh, we're getting.
I think Matt was tapping on it.
Ridiculous.
Too much.
Yeah, no. Dude, come on. Let's be real here. Come on. That's ridiculous.
So give me something that, other than you have a proponent or a tendency to sweat a lot. Is that the only reason why you would like it?
I think that is definitely a big reason for it. I like to keep cool, externally. I do sweat easily, but I also just think that, cold weather for me, like when I walk outside and it's like fresh, cold air, I just feel like, I don't know, it just makes me happy.
But
like,
is it good for 5 seconds and not 5 minutes?
I mean, hey, listen, I'm not saying I'm going outside in like a t-shirt when it's like the dead of winter here. I am in my jacket and everything. Like I'm warm enough. Like my hands are in my pockets. I got gloves or whatever, hat. But it's just like that air. The air just seems fresher to me in the winter.
And are you the person that likes to go heat off and then just have a million blankets inside, or like what's?
When I sleep, yeah. I get to be cold in my bedroom just in case I do, get hot. Nobody wants to be hot while they're trying to sleep, Brian. Okay.
They're coming in hot.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but my boy John, he was saying there was some old clip of me. I guess I say it more than I think. I didn't think I said it that much, but some clip of me saying that, coming in hot. And do you remember what that was from?
Like from
You would say that
recently?
before.
Yeah. And I don't know. He said it wasn't that long ago, but I don't know.
Yeah, you stopped, man. Something about you changed.
No, but we've seen over the years, there's been certain phrases.
Oh, yeah, you've evolved.
Yeah. Unequivocally was big.
That was good. That was a good one. That might
now.
have been your best
That's
one
fine.
yet.
You don't want to run with the same shtick for too long.
Gio?
You gotta switch it up, dude.
Yeah.
Gio.
No, you're right. You're right. You're definitely right.
I know I'm right.
But a lot to get into. Let's start in the world of the National Football League.
6 for 101, 2 touchdowns. To Evans, touchdown, Tampa Bay.
How about that throw?
Sam Darnold blasted. Oh my goodness, did he take a hit? In trouble once, brings him down. Loft one for Odell Beckham Jr. Got it down, touchdown.
All right. So last night, to surprise of many, wasn't really a good game. We had a ton over the weekend, like we had said, everything down to the last possession other than that first game between the Seahawks and the 49ers. But nevertheless, last night was very odd for the first part. The fact that Brett Maher, the Cowboys kicker, missed his first 4 extra points.
Unbelievable. Dude.
I've never seen that. And I know obviously things are different now that, it's not a 19-yarder, it's a 33-yarder, but we're all accustomed to that at this point.
Yeah. This isn't new right now.
And just the fact too, the Tampa Bay Bucs all night struggling to move the ball, in a 31-14 loss. Dallas led 18-0 at halftime. Tampa was able to get 2 touchdowns in the second half and in pretty much garbage time. I don't think after the, I guess you could say, third Dallas touchdown that this game, was ever in question. Easily the best playoff performance of Dak Prescott's career.
Easily.
You look at the numbers, 25 of 33, 305, 4 passing touchdowns, and had 1 rushing touchdown. You know, and you look at it, I mean, 128 yards as a team on the ground. But it almost felt like I was almost surprised they didn't run it more. They kind of threw it more than I was expecting. And
Yeah.
maybe that's why Tampa had such a problem defending. Maybe they were gearing up for the run, but I don't know about you, but just watching this Tampa Bay defense, watching Dak, drop back to pass, it felt like every time he had plenty of time and then also plenty of space. There wasn't many situations where, guys were bottled up. He always had a wide open receiver. CD Lamb, he had 4 receptions, 68 yards, a touchdown. Michael Gallup, 5 for 46 and a touchdown. And Dalton Schultz, the tight end, 7 receptions, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Really, spreading the ball out and just open receivers. And I think, a lot can be made of, Tampa obviously struggling to move the ball. Defense didn't do him any favors.
Yeah.
It's almost like they were checked out from the start. I don't know, kind of what you thought in regards to that.
Well, I mean, I understand like Dallas has a lot of Pro Bowlers and All-Stars in their offensive line and everything. So a couple good rookies, I think, as well.
Tyler Smith.
Absolutely phenomenal job by the offensive line
all day
for Dallas. All day.
No pressure.
They literally
sacked 1 time.
Dak had all the time in the world in the pocket. And, obviously, Tampa Bay's defensive line wasn't getting anywhere. And then, whenever Tampa Bay would decide to blitz or bring some guys from the secondary up to try and pressure Dak would recognize that immediately, see that someone's open downfield, throw over these blitzes underneath the safeties. I mean, he was reading Tampa Bay's defense like a book very easily. And then even on the running game, I understand they didn't run that much, but still the offensive line did a great job of chipping a defensive lineman, and then the offensive line would go block downfield and you get some good runs. They had some good runs going. And like I said, the offensive line, I think, was really like the biggest reason why the Cowboys were able to, score as much as they did, Dak to be as successful as he was. It was really good to see. And I don't think I've seen, honestly, their line be that good. I don't think all season. I mean, they were just on it every play. It was great, dude.
Well, especially for pass blocking. I think run blocking, they've done a good job for all season, especially Tony Pollard. You had to think throughout the year, because I know the yards per carry, it might have been under 4 this year for Zeke, if I'm not mistaken, but 2.1 yards per carry in this game. And, you had to wonder, well, is that the line? Is that the fact that he's, a step slower? So, he had 3.8 yards per carry, 12 touchdowns, 876 yards rushing. Tony Pollard was just over 1,000 in the regular season. But I think the running game is very important for them. But the whole thing is, especially next week when they play San Francisco, the fact that you have to honor, you can't just stack the box. Dallas has weapons on the outside, and Dak showed that he could hit them. I mean, I think that'll be a completely different ball game next week. And I just think too, in terms of the Cowboys, and I'm guilty of it myself, obviously all of us, Matt included, we all felt that Tampa would win this one. And I think, it's just one of those things where we get too comfortable with certain trends. So that the fact that Dallas, every time in the playoffs, we think about last year, not having the timeout, the clock expiring, the fact that before this game, they had won a road playoff game in 30 years. And I think it's almost like I compare it to analytics in baseball, where you can't let the eye test deceive us. And we should have known, but going into this game, we saw it all season. Tampa was a disaster. Dallas was actually one of the better teams in the league. I mean, the defense was roaring all season. They had a great running game. They won 12 games for a reason. Tampa was kind of hanging on by a thread all year. And I think we ignored that just because of the past playoff history of Dallas and the past playoff history of Tom Brady, instead of looking at it from this year, because the previous years have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, you said it best. I think, us as people who were, viewers of the NFL here are used to seeing Tom Brady, pull something out of his back pocket last 2 minutes of the game, having success in the playoffs. I mean, no one has as many playoff wins as a quarterback, I don't think, beside in the entire league ever, other than Tom Brady. That being said, Dak Prescott did break some franchise records himself last night. He's the only Cowboy quarterback to ever, put up those numbers. I think he passed for over 300 yards, have 4 touchdowns or more in, Cowboys history here. He's the first quarterback to ever do that in the playoffs. So obviously you have to tip your hat to Dak here. And I think you're right, Brian. I think, we probably should have seen this coming at some point, but you know what? Neither here nor there. We're by no means perfect, Michael. And we're on the next week, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you know what I mean. And like we'll talk about this in a second. And do look ahead lines
In a
and
second?
stuff. In a couple minutes. Let's call it a couple minutes. But I think once again though, and you know this as well as I do, and some of it has to do with this year. How well San Francisco's played. But we're gonna again look at last year with Dallas and just how they haven't been to the conference championship game since the '90s. And kind of hold that against them. And I just think, not to say that I would take them to win next week, but I think, they have a bigger chance than anybody will give them. There's playmakers up and down this team. Everyone is just kind of looking at, just playoff failures as a reason why. And it's like, until they do that, nobody's going to let it go. And I just think there's been certain times in history, no matter what sport we're talking about, where teams get over that hump and then all of that goes out the window. And it can change very quickly. So that's kind of just my thought there. I think Dallas is better than we think.
Yes.
And there's just a lot of talent on that team, and I think they're gonna look really good. It all comes down to Dak, because the running game I think has been there all year. I think he had thrown an interception in 7 straight games before this. So if he's not going to turn the ball over, defense is going to be, wrecking havoc. And hopefully Micah Parsons is okay. We saw him kind of come up limp there going into halftime. He gutted it out.
Any update on him?
I haven't heard anything. Let's see if okay, I'll just take a quick click on here.
A quick click.
I don't think yeah, no, there's nothing that I see yet. But I'll let you know if I come across something.
Let me know.
So that's really the Dallas side of this. As far as Tampa, and I don't know if we'll have to confirm this. I thought I saw on Twitter that they're letting Leftwich go, the offensive coordinator, former Jag quarterback. But I saw it from one source, hadn't seen it anywhere else. So I don't know. That's just a rumor, but and after the game, Brady, had a kind of a long-winded press conference. Kind of seemed like he was saying goodbye to Tampa, but he was kind of going back and forth. And obviously we saw him, do that last year, retiring, then unretiring, but just doesn't seem like a good situation right now. And as we've seen with Todd Bowles, just doesn't seem like he's a coach that's going to get you over the top. And especially with Leftwich going, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think the offensive line in shambles. If he's going to come back, tell me I'm wrong, but I can't see it being Tampa.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know. Neither can I. I feel like Tom Brady at this juncture of his life, of his career too. He kind of wants to have, obviously the most success, but given the fact that, who knows how many more years he's in the league, he's, probably wants to go to a team who's contending. And I just think Tampa Bay has too many holes for him to come back to and feel comfortable. Be like, hey, we can make it back to the Super Bowl now. He's going to want to go to a different place with better weapons, a better offensive line, a better defense, perhaps even a better coach. I don't know. People are saying Miami a lot too. Rick and Dave were talking about Tom Brady going to the Jets this morning as well.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I know where it's going to happen.
Brady may like that idea, but he's not going to be the future of that team. Like, yeah, you may have a couple good years with him, if that.
I think he's really, 2 years more at most, and really more than likely 1.
He should have just stayed retired, dude.
Oh yeah, should have stayed retired. But obviously, we are where we are, and I don't think he wants to go out like that. So that's why I think he's gonna play one more year. And I honestly think, he's gonna go to the Raiders. I really do, because Carr's out. McDaniels, his ass is on the line here. Let's be real with Vegas. They have another bet here. Dude. It's over. And listen, especially if you can get Josh Jacobs back in the picture. I know he had some choice words for the team after the year, but he had a breakout season. Think about Jacobs. You think about a healthy Waller. Obviously, we know Adams. Hunter Renfrow as well. I just have a hard time thinking that, if he did go to Las Vegas, that he wouldn't have a lot of success. I think he would be pretty good. And, obviously I'm rooting for the demise, of course, but I just think too, the way he is, what we've seen with Tom Brady over the years, he loves his guys. You know what I mean? There's certain people that he just likes. And I just have a feeling he really likes Josh McDaniels. Obviously, the two had a lot of success together. And then the fact, too, that he has a chance, a few years later to repeat what he did with Tampa and win a Super Bowl in his home stadium, because next year the Super Bowl will be in Las Vegas.
Do you think Bill would want him back?
I think he doesn't want to go back.
Really?
Yeah, no. He's done with that. He's at a point, you know what I mean? He doesn't want to be seen as a lesser than anybody in the whole organization. And I know him and Kraft and this and that, but I'm telling you, 0%.
Yeah, but you don't think
0%.
like
0.
I mean, he went off to Tampa Bay. He won with Tampa Bay. He proved to himself to the world that he doesn't need the Patriots to win.
They don't have a good enough team. Really, that's the biggest problem.
Man.
Not that if they did, I think it would be different. But I'm kind of curious though. Let's say similar roster, maybe improve in a couple areas. I mean, you think slotting him in Las Vegas that they would have a good year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like their O-line I think would be an improvement from what Tampa Bay has. I think for sure. And again, I think. Well, I don't know. Evans is really good, honestly, for the Bucs, but
I always thought they were a little hit and miss. I don't know if you kind of.
No, we talked about them personally, kind of on that chemistry level. Yeah. And Evans had that missed catch late in the game that would have been a touchdown, and could have pushed the Bucs towards winning, but or at least making something. And I feel like that was the story of them all year. But you still you saw some great plays from Evans as well. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's pretty comparable to what the Raiders can offer in terms of wide receivers, I guess.
I just think Adams is just a different level. Yeah. He's unbelievable. And I think we lost sight of that this year just because they were bad.
Right.
But so no one was, watching these games play in, play out. He's unbelievable.
You think he would jive well with Brady?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's just I think he would have a chance to replicate the production of Randy Moss. And I think that's what I'm saying with Evans, because I know, he has the 9 straight years to start his career with 1,000 yards. He's had some decent touchdown years, not this year, only 6, but I think that if they were really on the same page, he would have had a Randy Moss year in the 3 years that he's been there, and he hasn't. He's been good, but not to that level. So, but overall too, Tony, I mean, are you pretty convinced that he's going to come back, or is there a part of you that thinks he might just say sayonara, Tony?
Like retire?
Yeah.
No, he's not retiring.
He can't.
There's no way he's going to retire in a year like this. No way.
Now, is there any chance it's worse next year? I know, obviously, depending on the situation, but is that a possibility?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think if he goes to another team that has more to offer. Because I still think you saw like vintage Brady beginning of the season. You really did see a good Tom Brady. And we kind of mentioned like how many pass attempts he had, how good he was at protecting the ball through the air, not throwing any interceptions. But you did see the drop off at the later part of the season, and I think that was more because of like frustrations he's had with his team. The lack of success that he kind of had throughout the beginning of the season, not necessarily because of him, but because of just the team's issues, I guess you could say. So I think given a team that he goes to that's better, he won't be turning the ball over as much. He's going to look a little bit more like vintage Brady, because you saw, dude, like this season was still good for him. I mean, he still had games.
I thought, and I know it's not all on him, but I thought even though the numbers look okay, obviously ridiculous amount of pass attempts, I thought last night seemed pretty pathetic. Just from the fact that it's like everything's a 4-yard pass.
Yeah.
There's no matriculating the ball down the field.
Do you think that's more him or more play calling?
I think it's more the line, not
giving
him time. I mean, how many times was he just going like this?
Yeah, dumping it.
Into the ground, too, just because he doesn't want to get hit.
How many times did he get sacked? He got sacked quite a few times last night. 4 times? 5 times? 5? 3?
2.
Just 2?
Yeah. You know, he just
Oh,
facing
wow,
pressure all
dude.
night, you know, obviously, but
So those 2 sacks at the very end of the game were the only 2 times that he was sacked?
yeah,
Oh, interesting.
yeah. So obviously, I'm sure, you know, this is going to be played out a little bit. As Matthew says, Brady sucks. What's good, muchachos?
I think Matthew said, Brady sucks.
You know what? And I know he's disappointed, you know, Dallas moving on, but he got 1 out of 2. Dolphins are out. Cowboys will be out next week, Matthew. I mean, I think we all can be in agreement to that. And I know it's one of those things. We all expect that, and then the opposite happens. But,
Niners, right?
yeah, Niners.
Oof.
And speaking of which, Tony, it's our favorite time. I know you love this. We're gonna go look ahead lines for the divisional playoffs. You know, we got 2 games Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. So it should be another action-packed weekend. We'll start with the first game of the weekend, Saturday, 4:30 on NBC. Your buddy Collinsworth with Tirico.
Oh, boy.
Jacksonville at Kansas City. Look ahead line. What do we got?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. Kansas City, I mean, obviously favorited. It's got to be, I wouldn't say double digits, but pretty high up there. 8.5?
Wow, it's like you looked it
No.
up, and you almost said 9 too.
I
which is-
did.
This is why I believe you that you didn't look it up. I'm just saying that was crazy. 8.5.
Wow, dude.
8.5. Yeah.
All right, let's keep it going here. 3 more games.
And let's see. Eagles hosting the Giants.
Okay. I mean, Eagles, it's got to be, again, at least like a touchdown. 7.5.
So close, Tony. So close.
God.
Buffalo hosting Cincinnati.
Ooh.
3:00 CBS. Giants game, by the way,
Buffalo,
8:15 on
dude.
Fox on
Dude, Josh Allen. I don't know. Maybe they think. Give me the Bills. 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Fuck yeah, Mike.
And I'm just curious. Before we get to the last game, I kind of think this should be 3. I think these
The
teams
Bills.
are even.
Yeah, you think so?
What do you think, honestly?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I think people are kind of expecting Josh Allen
To have like a good game.
to have a really good game.
No interceptions.
Yeah.
Running the ball.
Yeah, definitely.
Last one. San Francisco hosting the Cowboys. 6:30 on Fox.
I don't know, dude. I guess this is probably gonna be the closest one. San Fran's probably gonna be favorited. 3.
4.
Oh,
Close, but no cigar. Almost really perfect. Every spread was close.
Dude.
Every spread was close.
best one by far.
Yeah, best
dude.
one by far. So gotta give it up to Tony for that one. And then too, you know, I know, you know, we'll do a full preview, on Friday for this stuff, but just kind of initial feels here. We'll start Kansas City and Jacksonville. Is that a close game? Do you think Jacksonville can cover? What are your thoughts there? I mean, Trevor Lawrence, obviously an impressive second half last weekend.
Oh man. I mean, I would love to see Trevor Lawrence come out here and keep up with Patrick Mahomes.
Mhm.
But I don't know, man. I think maybe they're tied going into halftime, but I think like second half, like late in the third quarter, fourth quarter, I think it's gonna be Patrick Mahomes just like pushing down the field. I would honestly take Kansas City, and I think, like I said, they're gonna pull away in the second half. Maybe it's gonna be like 14 up at halftime, something like that. But then final score, maybe like 35-24 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they can win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And I think too, we are so used to the greatness of Patrick Mahomes that we almost take it for granted, and we almost like kind of discredit him in a way. This year, I mean, does anybody even know that he was the only quarterback to throw for 5,000 yards and have 40 touchdowns? I feel like
I didn't know that.
we just assume he's going to do that every year, and the fact that he did it without Tyreek Hill, who he had his entire career up to this point, and the fact too that Travis Kelce, I mean, it's unbelievable. I don't know if there's ever been a better quarterback to tight end combination. Kelce, age 33 season, 110 catches, 1338, 12 touchdowns.
Crazy. Unbelievable.
So I'm along the lines. Yeah, I think this will be a blowout. We've seen Jacksonville look great, and we've seen Jacksonville get blown out. And I think this is the game where they get blown out. We kind of talked about this a little bit, but just kind of revisiting Philly and the Giants. Is this a close game? Do the Giants, in your eyes, have a serious chance to win? I mean, what do you think about this matchup?
Oh man. Honestly, in my eyes, serious chance. Again, I think it's going to be. I mean, maybe the Giants come out. I think they're going to have good stretches of offense, but I think the question is how they can kind of contain the Eagles and their offense. I mean, is Hurts going to be running all over the field? Probably. I mean, this isn't Kirk Cousins, This is a man who, if you pressure him, he's going to bolt, and then you have to worry about him in the open field. Can they kind of handle that? I don't think so, dude. I mean, I think Hurts is going to be throwing on the run. He's going to run in a few touchdowns as well. Again, I mean, maybe like the Giants can keep up with the Eagles for a quarter or for the first half, but I think the Eagles are going to start to pull away later in the game as the Giants, get tired of trying to contain Hurts and everything. I think Eagles pull this one away too. I mean, I really can't see the Giants winning this one, Brian.
Me either. I could see it, being a 10-point game. And I think another thing that we don't think about, especially because Hurts missed those games at the end of the year and then wasn't great in the season finale against the Giants, is what a year him and AJ Brown had together. AJ Brown, 88 catches, almost 1,500 yards receiving, anytime he wanted to find him down the field. And then the fact too that you got to worry about Devonta Smith, you have to worry about Dallas Goedert. I think it's way too much for the Giants, and I think this will be kind of a sobering result here. Because I think, and I get it. No matter what team, you root for, they win one game in the playoffs, you're always thinking the run and what can happen.
Not Brian.
Not this year. Definitely not this year. So I think the Eagles handily there, and they remind us why they were the number one seed in the NFC. On this Sunday, the Bills and Bengals game, obviously they only played part of it before the Damar Hamlin situation. So we get a full game here between the Bills and the Bengals, and we saw them win their games, but not win them in the fashions that we expected over the weekend. So what do you think about that as we move into this one? Is this a close game? Do you think the Bills should be favored? Are the Bengals a better team? I mean, what do you think?
I think this is going to be probably the closest game, I think, this upcoming weekend for the divisional matchups here. I know I mentioned, I'm sure, like I am, as well as many other people, are expecting Josh Allen to have a better game on the ground, through the air, limiting turnovers. But I think Joe's going to have just as good as a game. I think they're going to go toe-to-toe with each other right now. But I think in the end, I think, honestly, like field goal, like while time expires, Buffalo wins this one.
Wow.
Like, I think it's going to be that tight.
I don't know. I said this yesterday, and I do think it's going to be tight. I could see game-winning field goal for sure. But I don't know. I have more confidence in Joe Burrow not messing it up compared to Josh Allen. The interceptions have just been a lot lately. I know they have Diggs, but I also think the Bengals defense is very underrated. So I kind of think, the Bengals are going to win this one. And it's so tough for Bills fans because, they've been suffering since the Jim Kelly days in the early 1990s. And, here we are, Josh Allen, easily the last couple of years could have won a Super Bowl, and it might be more disappointment. But I think this will be, as we like to say, an all-time classic, Tony. So 3:00 CBS, I would imagine that is a Nance and Romo special. So I'm sure Tony is going to be getting excited. All-time classic, Tony, about the quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
The last game of the weekend, the Niners, the Cowboys, we kind of talked about this for a second. San Francisco -4. Is it that easy? Or do you think there's a chance here Dallas steps up and tries to avenge that loss in the divisional round last season?
I think it's San Francisco by like 17 points. Honestly.
Really?
Yeah. I think Dak, I understand we were just talking about underestimating the Cowboys and Dak. But I think the Niners is kind of a different animal. Again, it's another team who, honestly, I think Matt is the one who said it, and he said it really well, that the Niners are one of the best all-around teams in the league. I mean, talk about weapons, talk about on the ground, through the air. They have just so many ways they can threaten, a defense. And I think Dallas, again, playing Tampa Bay, they didn't really have to worry that much about a running game. You have to worry about, Tom Brady, really. And even that, so like you don't like Tom Brady have that many weapons to threaten Dallas's defense. I understand Dallas is great defense. But hey, man, you brought it up, only sacking Tom Brady twice. If Brock Purdy, obviously Mr. Irrelevant here, not having much experience in the playoffs. I mean, if he's not getting threatened, he's going to be comfortable. And, second quarter, by the second half, like, I think he's going to really open up, and we've seen how talented he could be and what type of plays he can make. And I think it's going to be, 49ers by a long shot here.
So I'm going to have to disagree with you on this just in terms of the long shot. I think this will be another close game. And I have to say, so for now, luckily we have a couple days to think about this. So I'm going to really
think about it, Brian.
Take a deep dive and really do some meditating on this one. Because I swear this is a tough one, because this is the thing. Okay. And I'm guilty of it myself. Because I watch the 49ers every week and they just look so strong. Like you said, all areas, very sound. But the one thing that concerns me is the fact that everything has fallen into place for Brock Purdy. He's won every start that he's made. And you look at the defenses that he's had to face. He hasn't had to face one premier defense. He's beaten the Seahawks, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Commanders, the Seahawks, the Bucs, the Dolphins. Niners are a different level than all of those teams.
Right. No, yeah, I understand that. But, I mean, doesn't it concern you a little bit? I understand Dallas had good pressure on Brady, but only sacking him twice, and I feel like if Purdy gets a little bit of pressure, he's going to dump it off to McCaffrey, and McCaffrey's going to make some type of ridiculous play to get a first down or score or whatever. I just feel like that it's going to be tough for Dallas if they even do pressure him. And I would imagine, Brock Purdy seems to be a little bit more mobile than Tom Brady too. So I don't know, dude. I have a lot of confidence in him. Deep dive.
I've been impressed 100%, but I do think this is going to be by far the toughest test. That defense is good in Dallas.
Yeah.
We think about Dak and the offense, but that defense is really good. So
who's Dallas's linebacker? 55, I think.
Leighton Vander Esch.
Dude, he was all over the field last night, like dropping back, reading Brady, like he was breaking up plays, almost had a couple of interceptions actually. He's really good linebacker, dude. I appreciate it, and very physical too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's going to be, it was a great game last year. I know the Niners, you would say, I guess, are stronger this year because of the fact that they have McCaffrey. I know obviously Purdy at quarterback instead of Garoppolo, who won the game last season. But also, too, we have to keep in mind on the flip side of things with the Niners, the playoffs, they seem to rise to the occasion. But this is, like I said, this is the first time. If you really think about it, this is the first time the Niners in the playoffs without Jimmy G since the Colin Kaepernick days. So it's been a long time since they haven't had him in this situation. A lot of people like to marginalize, his impact. And we saw Purdy beat Seattle. So I just am going to be very interested. And it's the way that they're playing. Like I was just talking about this yesterday. It seems like they're just going to ride right into the Super Bowl. But I just have to wonder if this could potentially be a bad matchup. So we'll see. I'm pumped.
I'm getting pretty pumped.
This part of the season, it's just so much fun because all of the pretenders, have been eliminated, and we're just really seeing quality teams, quality quarterbacks,
like the Giants,
and quality games. And you think about it, every team that's there, they either have both or they have one. So it's refreshing to see, and it really kind of cements why you need to be strong in those areas. You think about all of the coaches that are left in the playoffs right now. I guess you could say the weakest one would be Mike McCarthy. Everybody else has a pretty good pedigree. You think, I know Dable, it's his first year, but obviously, the strong roots in terms of who he's worked under. You think about Doug Peterson, a Super Bowl winning coach, Andy Reid, a Super Bowl winning coach. Maybe Zach Taylor, no one even thinks about him with Cincinnati, but he's really transformed them over the last couple of years. Sean McDermott, highly respected in Buffalo. So there's a lot of strong coaches. Kyle Shanahan is great. And I think Sirianni, after some early doubters, has really been seen as a quality coach. So it's going to be fun. I can't wait. And it's great how they spread it out over the 2 days. So it really,
I do love that.
A full football weekend. And it's too, because I think now we really start thinking about who will be matched up against one another in the Super Bowl. Now that we've advanced around and there's not as many teams left, you could kind of picture it, and it gets exciting to think about. And there's always, rematch possibilities like San Francisco and Kansas City,
right?
Which I think would be the most attractive. I mean, what do you think in terms of a matchup?
Yeah, I guess so. San Francisco, Kansas City. Yeah, I am getting kind of tired of seeing Mahomes honestly in the Super Bowl every year.
But the way he plays the game, Tony, how do you get tired of someone, that true art of a craft? How do you get tired of that?
All right. What are you, Chris Collinsworth? Dude?
I'm serious.
Oh, he's a master of his craft.
No. But also, you're gonna say that, and I know you've kind of lightened your stance on this, but you've always kind of cheesed over Brady a little bit, and it's like you weren't tired of that, but Mahomes has won one Super Bowl, and you're tired of it. Michael, anything?
Future.
Yeah, exactly. I really. What is it though? What is it for you?
About Mahomes?
You just said he's in the AFC Championship game every year.
Yeah, it's honestly the whole team, really, honestly, dude.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Like, I really don't like Travis Kelce that much.
Why? What did he do?
I think he just has like a cocky, piss poor attitude, dude.
I mean, is he not like maybe the best tight end ever? I mean, he's up there.
Well, I would have to take a deep dive into that. Obviously, I know how good he is, dude.
Of course, and Gronk, but
I don't know, dude. I mean, let's just come on, dude. Let's get someone else in there. Anyone else?
Who do you want to see in there? I guess Allen.
Yeah. I think the Bills, like you mentioned, the Bills have been through what? No. The Bills have been through such hardships. Okay. And I just think they're very deserving of a win, of a Super Bowl. Especially Josh Allen. Talk about improving, himself. When he came up first into this league, he couldn't even throw a football very well, dude. And he's just, he seems like a really nice guy as well. Patty Mahomes with his brother and his wife.
But see, why are we bringing the brother and the wife into it?
Because it's a personality. It's a person.
I mean, I guess the wife is.
What do you mean? You married the girl. Yeah,
the brother's not his fault, though. The brother is not his fault. So let's take it easy.
First of all,
yeah, exactly. Women do change.
Okay.
They've known each other for a while. He probably just
high school.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
So what, dude?
I mean,
look at Tom Brady and Giselle. What happened?
Well, I'm just saying.
Divorce,
come on. More than likely, is this going to be a 40-year marriage with Mahomes? I mean, come on.
Oh, so you're doubtful? Not. Really, guys. And even so, his brother, too, it's the little brother,
but
dude.
See, why?
Okay?
Why? This is where we go again.
It's your little brother. Whip him up into shape, dude. I'm not deflecting, dude.
You know what this reminds you of?
No. First of all, because you take the same stance with Steph Curry and Golden State. You're like, oh, I'm tired of seeing them in the fucking finals. It's always them every year, yada, yada, yada. Why? They're a great team. Steph Curry is a nice guy.
Well, how many championships do the Warriors have, Tony? 4.
So what?
4.
So that's what you're gonna. So until Patty Mahomes has 4, then you can be like, I'm done with him.
He has 1.
That's what I'm saying. If he has 4, if he gets 4,
that's tough.
I mean, it'll be tough to get to 4.
If he gets to 4, or you can be like, okay, I'm done with him. That's
it's gonna take 10 years.
But are you?
Maybe at that point.
Oh,
but it's gonna take a long time.
It's not gonna take 10 years, dude. He can go 4 for 5 in the next 5 years, dude.
This discussion, because you're talking about the brother, the wife, all that. This reminds me of you deflecting about the Mets broadcasters, because every time we have this conversation, you always bring up Michael Kay, and it's just like nothing to do with Michael Kay.
Okay, all right,
just like Mahomes in the big game has nothing to do with Brittany Mahomes.
First of all, deflecting, Michael Kay and the SNY broadcast has nothing to do about what we're talking about.
It's an analogy, Tony. It's an analogy.
Deflection, dude. And the SNY broadcast, literally award winning. You can't argue with that. Can't argue with that.
Keith not coming back. Can't argue with that.
Dude, Cohen getting broadcaster of the year, dude.
But I'm just saying, Hernandez is done.
He's not done, dude.
Why isn't he signing a contract?
He's gonna relax.
I think he's gonna sign with the Yankees
because he knows how good he is, and he's holding out for more money. Get what he deserves. Good for Keith.
You know why though that's not happening? Because something that you're not thinking about here. And I think I'm almost gonna surprise you with this.
No, go ahead.
Steve Cohen has no control over SNY.
So
the Wilpons own SNY. So yeah, the Wilpons are gonna give Keith Hernandez $15 million a year. Gotcha, buddy.
No,
right?
no, they're gonna give it to him. Are you kidding? They're gonna break up that broadcast crew, dude. No. You guys are so lame. You know what you're talking about.
I know the Wilpons are.
No, and the thing that just annoys me, Tony, about this whole situation is because
what situation
the
exactly?
Yankees bring in some guys over the years. You gotta have some like fresh blood, and I thought, it was nice seeing some new guys. And it's a shame Maben's not coming back, but he's still gonna work for MLB Network. But I think the Mets could use some fresh blood. Bring in David Wright. You know what I mean? Have a new voice. Keith is just, it's too much. It's
Why
much. He's got to go. It's too much. It really is. It's an overkill.
I'm not going to say not bringing David Wright. That'd be awesome. But you don't have to not sign Keith.
It's so boring.
He's not boring.
All he does is complain. You know,
what does that even mean?
All he does is complain about the state of the game today and talk about his crazy parties, and I could just end it there because that's all he talks about. You know, oh, the road trip, blah 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 blah. It's just like nobody cares. You're talking about the Phillies. They went farther than you. You embarrassed yourself, and I think that honestly, I'm not kidding. That could be why he's not coming back.
That is ridiculous.
You're telling me that situation wasn't embarrassing?
No, sure. I mean, a bad take in the Phillies, yeah, but who thought they were going to go to the World Series? Nobody. Exactly, but it doesn't matter.
How many announcers degrade another team? I mean, that's unprofessional. That's the whole thing. That's completely unprofessional, and you know it. I know you know it. I know you do know it.
I don't know about that one.
Oh, I don't know about that. But you're worried about Jackson Mahomes, Tony. But you don't know about that one. Enough. All right.
No, first of all, announcers degrade teams all the time. I don't know what you're talking about.
They're not going to announce games that they're playing in. Nobody's ever done that in any sport. That's never happened. Okay. Like, so I don't know why Keith all of a sudden thinks that he's entitled to do that.
Would have to do some research on that one because I think that's a broad statement right there.
Look it up.
I will.
All right.
I don't know how I'm going to look it up, but I'm going to figure it out, dude.
Anyway,
dude.
Let's go.
Tired of Mahomes.
To the world of the National Hockey League.
Here's Matthews. Scores! Hat-trick goal!
My goodness, this is a great shot.
Big hit on the far side by the car. He flattens Jordan's skull. Oh, my goodness.
That's the gun right back. Terrifying and robbed by Shesterkin. That's brilliant from Igor Shesterkin.
It's a breakaway to win it in overtime. McDavid scores the winner in overtime.
All right. So a Rangers victory last night. No overtime needed. 3-1 over Columbus. So avenging that loss from October 23rd at the Garden, which was 5-1. They win this one 3-1 with Halak in net. So this was a huge win for the Rangers, you know, coming off that disappointing loss to the Canadiens. So it was important to take care of business here. They get going early. Mika Zibanejad with his 20th. Barclay Goudreau, which we have to give props to Tony. You know, he did mention about the better Goudreau on our side. So that was his 9th goal of the year, and then crafts it off, whatever. I don't know how to say it. His 3rd goal of the year. In the second, they let up 1 to Andrew Peak early in the 3rd period, and that was all it was. The rest of the way, the Rangers defeat the Columbus Blue Jackets 3-1, a much-needed victory, sir.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you know, we had some people yesterday, a couple doubters, you know, saying, oh, we lost to the Canadiens. It's a Halak game now. Are we worried? I was really never worried about this game. You know, I'll get to the scoring and stuff because we started scoring early first period, but Halak, Brian. Okay, I think at this point, you know, he had 25 saves last night, 24 saves, something like that. Second start for him in a row, where we see him get pretty close to getting a shutout, and then, you know, lets up a 3rd period goal. I think it was even 5-on-5 too, but I think last game
4-on-4.
It was 4-on-4.
Yeah.
The first goal actually let up by the Rangers this season in 4-on-4 play. And I think his previous start we saw him let up a goal late on a power play too. So you know, I think a couple, you know, maybe some bad luck here for Halak in terms of the shutouts, but I really think that this guy, you know, is kind of coming into like a solid backup. I mean, I understand, you know, Brian had concern with, you know, Halak not facing enough shots, but I mean, if you look at his past few starts, I forget who the last start was against, but that was where he had like 17, you know, shots attempted. Was it against the Canadiens?
Yeah.
But before that, I think it was like Florida. He had like 35 saves. Philly, you know, I think like 32 saves, something like that. These are all in wins too. So he was, you know, these are games where he's facing lots of shots, and he's honestly looking pretty good. I think he's becoming a pretty solid backup. I really do, especially against, you know, put him against teams like Columbus. I think is a good kind of warm up for him too, to keep him fresh and to kind of still kind of almost close to guarantee a victory here. But in terms of the Rangers scoring, you saw Zibanejad early with a nice goal, about like 12 minutes into the game, an assist by Kakko, an assist by Fox, and I think that that's just kind of it was really a bread and butter goal here by Zibanejad. You saw it work from the blue line from Fox. then to Kako, a forward, and then over to Zibanejad, finding your open man. I think, like I said, that's kind of the bread and butter goals we've been seeing by the Rangers. And then you get a power play goal by Goudreau, assisted by Miller, who's, I believe, is on like a 7-game point streak, I think. I mentioned him yesterday as being, a nice young defenseman to kind of, lead the team and to also get him the puck more, because he's someone who can score and evidently someone who can set someone up to score as well. So you love to see that. And, second period, Kravtsov, that goal. Kravtsov is someone who's brought up, a month or two ago for his first couple NHL games. I think that with some time, this can kind of, I guess, maybe mature into a solid player. I mean, obviously, when he first came up, he looked like a little bit like a deer in headlights here. He's 23 years old, but big body. I mean, he's 6'4", 183 pounds, first round pick by the Rangers a few years ago. And, we've seen the Rangers either miss on the first round picks or those players need some more time than we would like to develop. But I think this guy could kind of mature into a decent player. You mentioned it was his third goal of the season. He's got 3 assists as well. He's been skating pretty well. They put him on the Kreider line to start off, which obviously, gives him some good looks with the puck and to try to find the back of the net. But we'll kind of see, I guess, keep an eye on him to see how he kind of matures. And like I said, Blue Jackets really didn't have any offense to show for it. I mean, look at some of the team stats here. We did outshoot them 33 shots to 25. I think we had like 17 shots first period, 12 shots the second period. Third period, I believe Columbus did outshoot us, but obviously, overall we outshot them. Did a great job on the PK, 0 for 4 for the Blue Jackets, but we were 1 for 5 on the power play. Obviously, Columbus had a tough time keeping up with us in terms of skating, which is great because we're much faster than them. But I mean, 1 for 5 in the power play is not really good. It's really not what you want. And we've kind of continued to see the Rangers power play kind of suffer a little bit. And it's very interesting because the success we've seen with them on the power play is when they shoot the puck, Brian. And it's like, and I don't know if it's because they know Columbus isn't as good or if there's just something mentally going on in their head, but we see power plays where they just are almost afraid to shoot the puck.
Well, that goes back to last year.
Yeah.
We complained about that in the playoffs.
And it's just so weird because there's times where, again, I'm not a hockey expert, but I mean, like there's some passes in the power play where I'm like, wow, like, that guy could just rip the shot just to get it on goal. Could have scored, and if not, I mean, so what, dude? You recycle, you get the rebound. If not, they clear it maybe. You just, as long as you're getting pressure, like you just need that,
and you don't need to have a perfect angle. I feel like so many times, we see, these shots go in. You before it, you would say, "Oh, I mean, there's no way that's gonna go in." So it's just like I think they're thinking about it too much. And I believe we have a couple comments here.
Yeah, Jade Zodiac actually.
Do we know Jade Zodiac?
Not that I know of. Looks like Jade's coming in here from Twitch. Says, "Morning, boys. Every team tries to be fancy during the power play. You have the man advantage to the puck." I mean, dude, I totally agree. I mean, like you said, like I think we see these teams like time and time again who try and just make one extra pass too much or try to do one extra dangle. Just find somebody open in the slot, really, dude. Like that's, you see it. Tampa Bay does it great actually with Stamkos and even Ovechkin too for the Caps. Like on the power play, Stamkos and Ovechkin are just chilling in the slot, standing there. They're not even moving. And you get a few guys bottled up on the other side of the ice here. They make a couple nice passes and they just do a cross ice pass, one timer. And it works every time, dude. You saw Tage Thompson do it for Buffalo, too, a few games ago. Every time.
Not last night.
No, obviously not last night, but.
No, I know. I'm kidding. But
you can't, like.
Aggression.
Exactly, dude. And you can't, like, it's so hard to defend that. You mentioned the man advantage.
Do we have a Canucks fan?
He says, keep it low and play for the rebounds. Canucks are guilty for the passing. Interesting, dude. Maybe we do have a Canucks fan. I think they've had some bright spots here. I think Peterson's doing pretty well. There's another guy on their team, too, who's doing really well. But obviously the Canucks, I mean, I think they're doing better than last year, I would say. But they certainly need some help. But I think, I think that, the being guilty of the extra passes, I think comes from maybe some youthfulness or nervousness or something. It is certainly something mentally because, I mean, these guys don't get to the National Hockey League by not, seeing when they can have an opportunity to shoot the puck. They're just maybe that's lack of confidence or something. And I'm sure, with some successful power plays, that confidence will bolster for sure. But it's just a shame because you would think the Rangers, who have had success on the power play, can kind of understand what the strategy should be. I don't know if that's a Gallant thing or a player thing, but that has to be fixed. I mean, 1 for 5. If we're in a 7-game series with the Bruins, we have 5 power play opportunities. You need to convert on at least 3 of those, dude. I mean, this is like, you have to just lick your chops at the man advantage. You should be like, this is it. We're going to score right now. We got a man advantage. How they got to defend us? Like,
and I'm actually glad, that you mentioned the Bruins.
It's coming up on Thursday, dude, I think, right?
I didn't even, is it Thursday? Okay. They win 6-0 against the Flyers yesterday. But I was just saying, in terms of, take a page out of their book, they don't struggle in that area. They just go right after it. And so on the 18th, which is tomorrow, they play the Islanders, the Bruins do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's maybe over the weekend, because I knew we were talking about this game coming up. Yeah, it is. Oh, it is on Thursday. Okay.
Yeah.
So Wednesday, Islanders, Thursday,
days, yeah.
Against the Rangers. So that'll be a great game. But that'll be a true test. And I think I'm actually glad. I think the timing, we had talked about the quirks of the NHL schedule this year. I think this could come at a perfect time. You know what I mean? The teams are in midseason form, and this is a team. Let's face it. You want to make a run in the Eastern Conference again and be on the precipice of going to the Stanley Cup final. You're going to have to face Boston one way or another. They're off to a historic start. Definitely the best start I've ever seen. 34-5-4.
Unbelievable.
So, I mean, like, just looking ahead at that, Tony, I mean, against a team like that, I mean, what is the way that the Rangers need to play to beat them?
Well, it's going to be pretty tough, obviously. Because I mean, you look at how they beat the Flyers last night. A big part of it was them winning faceoffs. They won 63% of their faceoffs.
Vinny
right?
Trocheck.
So you're gonna have to rely on Trocheck to get in there and to either jack up whatever center he's facing off and have like a winger like Panarin or Zibanejad to come in, take the puck and keep possession, something like that. You'll have to kind of play it by ear. I think Trocheck is a good enough center where he could just beat like Krejci or Bergeron just right off the face-off. But if not, he may need some extra help. But that's going to be key. Certainly, obviously possessing the puck. You have it, they don't. You can score, they can't if they don't have the puck, right? But I mean, in reality, they have to win their face-offs. Philadelphia last night 0 for 6 on their power play, right? If you're the Rangers, you can't have an 0 for 6 or a 1 for 5. You're going to need like a 3 for 4 or a 2 for 4. You're going to have to take advantage of your power play opportunities, which you will get. Because I think, I understand we're kind of comparing, how the Flyers played against the Bruins. Obviously the Rangers will put up a better fight against them. But the Rangers are a quick team. They could keep up with the Bruins. They have younger players who can probably beat a few of the Bruins players as well. So you can probably force Bruins to give up a penalty, whether it's slashing or hooking, whatever. You're going to have power play opportunities. You need to capitalize on that. And then I think another one is going to be pressuring their goaltender. Maybe even, I understand, the Bruins are really good at playing a physical game. So I don't know if you would really want to go toe to toe with them in terms of hits. I think you should really play to your speed a lot more, going through the neutral zone, just have a lot of quick, short passes, try to make some space. And then from there, you can kind of threaten their goaltender. You need to put pressure on Ullmark or Swayman, whoever's in between the pipes for them. From the get-go, you need to pressure them because both of them have been outstanding all year. A big reason why Boston obviously has been so successful. And then again, to go back to last night's game for the Bruins, they scored 6 times. You're going to have to play some good defense. We played shitty defense against Canadiens. You can't let Boston just kind of walk through the neutral zone with some momentum going into your end. You're going to have to stop them. So, again, use your speed. It's going to be tough. Again, like I said, to go toe-to-toe physically with them, you have to use your stick, poke check, lift some sticks as well. Really just disrupt some shooting lanes. Who was it? Lindgren last night had quite a few block shots, really risking his body. I want to see that from every defenseman. Fox, Keandre Miller, Trouba as well. Trouba, if you're going to do one thing, block some fucking shots. So I'm sure we'll dive down a little bit more on Thursday as JJ Zodiac's coming in here. He did agree with the confidence thing during the power play, certainly mental. And he goes, one of Boston's strengths is their size. Everyone has to hit. It never fails. Yeah, I mean, hey, when you come out here with that type of attitude where you're ready to hit and be physical, it's demeaning to a lot of players, especially, younger guys, like guys in the Rangers, But I have my confidence in the Rangers. They could pull it off, dude.
Yeah. And I think they're really, I know it seems ridiculous given the way that Boston's played this year, but I think there's no reason not to just go win it.
Yeah.
You're at home. It's going to be a back-to-back. So is it Swayman is the backup tender?
It seems like they've been putting even time, but I think Swayman technically is their
the
backup. Yeah.
So, I mean, you get a backup tender, and you're going to be well rested,
I mean, they may go Swayman against the Islanders, Allmark against the Rangers. Who knows?
Right. But usually, I don't know. Usually the back-to-back, you go with your guy first.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what they do. And I really just hope the Rangers send a message. But nevertheless, I mean, that's going to be a fun game. And I can't wait to watch it on Thursday. And speaking of games, we got 8 tonight. So it's been a long time, Tony. But we can go 4 picks apiece here. Rangers off. So it's really kind of a different feel with the picks. And it is a 1-point margin
differential here.
Yeah, between us. It's just way down at the bottom of the page. But while I'm getting to that, if you would start us out with your first pick of the night.
Yeah, totally. It's funny. I mentioned Buffalo. I mentioned Tage Thompson. I'm gonna take them tonight, certainly in Chicago.
9-7, by the way.
9-7.
I'm up 9-7.
Oh, really, dude? Okay. So I'll certainly take the Sabres here. Sabres only minus 170, honestly, against Chicago, which is pretty interesting. I understand, Chicago, we've seen a little bit of surge of goal scoring from them. They scored 5 goals in a loss against Seattle. They did beat Colorado, they beat Calgary, they beat Arizona. To kind of have they won 3 of the last 5 games, which I think for them obviously is pretty big. But I think I understand they're in Chicago, who obviously has a great following, a great fan base. But I think Buffalo here, I understand maybe a little bit of struggle. I was pointing out a reason why they won't be making the playoffs a couple weeks or last week with Mike, I think. But I think maybe, bounce back here against Chicago on the road. Give me Buffalo here. I'll say 3-2.
Yeah. Like it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Maple Leafs. I think this should be a walk in the park. They're home. Panthers on a back-to-back. And I just think, honestly, when it comes down to it, you think about Chacek, I think Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews will have something to say about that. I just think the Panthers are on a completely different level compared to the Maple Leafs. They just don't have it this year. And I think this is huge for Toronto this year because, it's been tough recently for them, but they're really poised here. I mean, I think they're clearly the second best team in the East right now, behind Boston. And I think, there's a lot to prove here. And this is just a situation where you take care of business. And I just don't think the Panthers offensively can keep up with them. And especially if we get like a Bobrovsky start here, I think this could get ugly. So the Maple Leafs too, coming off 2 road losses, returning home, where they play very well, 15-3-4, Tony, at home.
Wow.
Panthers 10-14-1 on the road. So I'm going to say, give me Toronto here. Let's go 5-1 over the Panthers.
All right, my next game, I'm going to take Seattle in Edmonton tonight. Seattle, they did just lose Tampa Bay, but I think they were on like a 6-game winning streak before that. Edmonton on a 3-game winning streak right now. And honestly, Edmonton, I forget what game it was. It might have been maybe San Jose, where like almost every forward scored. McDavid had 2 goals, I think, too. They kind of showed that they do have some ability to kind of share the wealth in terms of goal scoring. But I think against Seattle, who obviously is a much better team than San Jose, another team who, again, can show how, their talent is widespread across the team, and also a solid defense. Edmonton is favored here at home, only minus 190 though for being at home. I would say, give me Seattle, who I think the last time these teams faced was earlier this month. I'm pretty sure it's the Kraken won. Kraken won 5-2. kind of showing off. I mean, scoring 5 goals against Edmonton. I think that's pretty impressive. And only keeping the Oilers to 2 goals. Again, their defense has been very on point there for Seattle. So give me the Kraken here, beating the Oilers again. I'll say closer game, 4-3.
Wow, like it.
Yeah, baby.
So this is really killed me recently, because they are just on the slide of all slides here. It will take me too long to count this up, but let's see. It's 3, 6, 9-game losing streak for the Coyotes, Tony. I gotta take them. I just have to take them. They're gonna win again. They're better than 13-25. And I think this is a good place to start. You're at home. Detroit, I think is just not as good as they were last year. Not that they were great last year, but they really aren't as good as they were last year this year. So I think, Keller, Vizmelka is due for a good game too.
He is.
The whole team has been off. But I just think, that intimate atmosphere there in Arizona, we all can't wait for that new arena in Tempe, even though it should be in Stanford, but that's a different story.
Dude.
We could go on and on about that. But I think, you know what? This is the Coyotes game here in terms of 2-0. Keller with both goals, Vizmelka with a shutout. Get off the schneid and on to the next one.
Get off the schneid, dude. I can't, good for you, honestly, for keeping up with the Coyotes. I'm really proud of you. My next game here, I think I'll take the Preds over the Blue Jackets.
Like it.
You talk about teams, going back to back. Blue Jackets obviously having a tough time last night, and another tough time tonight. I really can't see this being even close to a competitive game. Preds 4-0.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So I'm gonna take the Caps.
Jets. Oh,
nah. I'm gonna take the Caps. They've been hot, Tony. I think earlier in the year, they're coming in hot. We had wrote them off just in terms of, it's just Ovechkin. He's getting older. The team around him isn't as good. Darcy, all of that. But they've been playing some good hockey. 24, 16, and 6, and I know the Wild have been, good themselves, and you look at it in the standings here. Metropolitan, they're right behind the Rangers, 3 points behind them, 1 less win, 3 more losses. And I just think, they can just take care of business here at home. Minnesota, the road favorites. I'm not exactly sure, why that is, because I know, Washington's pretty good at home. And they've got good goaltending, no matter if it's been Lindgren, if it's been Kemper. They're both goals against 2.6, 2.55, save percentages over 9. I think they're solid in that way. And I think Washington is a team as well that I wouldn't be surprised to make some moves around the deadline to really go for it, one more time with Ovechkin, because, I think he still has a couple years, but that time's going to go quick, and you just don't want to have, wasted seasons. And, I know, so this one too, just looking at that, being that they actually overtime game last night against the Islanders, so they're back home tonight. Kemper had started 4 in a row, so I'd imagine he'd be off tonight, but I think Lindgren, perfectly capable. And, especially, before that win last night, they actually lost 2 in a row to the Flyers. So I think, sometimes that stuff happens, but I think at home against Minnesota, I think they can take care of business. Should be a good game. But I'm going to say Capitals here, 4-2, empty netter late to pull away.
Wow. All right. This is the 4th and final, I think, for me, right?
4th and final?
4th and final here. So we got Jets, Canadiens, Ducks, Flyers, and that's it, actually, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting, dude. Flyers in the back-to-back, getting shellacked by Boston. Give me the Jets, actually. Battle of Canada here. They're in Montreal. I've been pretty high on the Winnipeg Jets, I think, for most of the season. As, rightfully so. I think they're proving a lot of people wrong in terms of where they would be at this point in the season. And I know the Canadiens, I'm honestly kind of surprised that the Jets are minus 267. Pretty big margin right there. to be favorited as. I think Canadians are better than that. But I just think Jets, I mean, you think about it all around. I mean, they're just going to be better than Canadians offensively, defensively, goaltending, coaching, even. Give me the Jets here. I think it'll be closer, honestly. I would say 3-2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that leaves me Ducks Flyers.
Yeah, I'm curious to see who you can take.
So you think about
Terry.
It's one of those things where I hate, I don't feel good either way. And then you think about the Flyers on a back-to-back here. I guess give me the Ducks. Just because I think this is just one of those situations. I give me the bad team when they're playing the 500 team, because I think we tend to just look at the records and just overvalue the 500 team.
So, no, I think you're right.
Ducks 1-0 shootout. How about that? How about that, Tony?
Jade Zodiac.
Flyers fan. I thought he was Canadiens.
He could still. I mean, he's a lightning bolt as his little profile picture, so it could be a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. Who knows? But Flyers 3-2 shootout win.
Interesting. I know we've said this all season, Tony, but the depth of the Eastern Conference is really remarkable.
It's very tough out there, man. It's pretty crazy.
Does it concern you at
all? In terms of like how if
the Rangers run
make the cup? I mean, yeah. I mean, it always does, obviously. And just looking at the conference right now, we had mentioned yesterday the Rangers being in 6th in the conference here, but tied in terms of points with Tampa Bay, only 2 behind Toronto, and then only 3 behind New Jersey, only 4 behind Carolina, and we have Washington creeping up on us, 3 points behind us in 7th. That middle of the pack there, it could be, we could really just be anywhere in the middle of the pack there in terms of standings. But if we are middle of the pack and we play a team like, Washington or Pittsburgh, who's, the 8th seed, that's still going to be a tough series, especially in the playoffs. We saw it last season, against Pittsburgh. We had a tough time against the Penguins, dude. So, I mean, I don't know. It does certainly concern me. And even if Pittsburgh drops off, I mean, the Islanders could be in there. Florida could be in there. And then that's just looking behind us. Looking ahead, you have Carolina, you have New Jersey, you have Boston, Toronto. You're certainly very worried, dude. Yeah.
I kind of think we need to be bold.
In terms of
no, like just big ticket acquisition.
Yeah, trade deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Is who's like the last, let's say top 5 player that you remember getting traded at the deadline?
For the Rangers, top 5 player, I'm just trying to think. Wow, top 5.
Or is that just not
top
realistic?
5? I mean, the biggest trade was probably for St. Louis at the time.
And even then, though, he wasn't like the old St. Louis. Not that he wasn't.
No, but he was still like highly touted, like Tampa Bay
just
legend,
older.
dude. Yeah, just older. And then before that, in terms of trading, I can't even think of anyone, dude.
So it's just I wish Edmonton was on a free fall, because then that would be the time, but they're not.
I don't think they're ever going to really be on a free fall, dude.
But is that the norm? I mean, in all your years watching hockey, like when you want to make acquisitions, is it the mid-level younger guy or the more established older guy who was, maybe he's just a step slower than he used to be? Is that typically the type of acquisitions that you see?
The older guy? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's normally always the older, more established guy for either some picks or, whatever, some young prospect or whatever. Interesting. Jade Zodiac says Bo Horvat to the Rangers equals Stanley Cup. That's the other guy on Vancouver who's been having a great year. I mean, I could see it, but I mean, excuse me. I mean, let's look up some Bo Horvat, huh?
Yeah, because I have to say I'm not familiar with him.
He's definitely been on Vancouver for quite a little while.
27 years old. From London, Canada, Tony. Haven't heard of that one.
Would have thought he was drafted first round, 9th overall by Vancouver in 2013. Excuse
30
me.
goals
So
this
far,
year.
30 goals, 18 assists. That's 48 points plus 5 on the ice over 43 games. So 43 games played, you have 48 points.
One
That's
behind his career high that he set
obviously
last year.
really good.
So on a bender. Actually, no. That is correct.
Last year points
31 was the last.
Oh my God. Yeah. He had 52 points last season over 70 games,
48,
31 goals
43.
being, I mean, he's already touching that. So yeah, he's having a career year here for Vancouver. Someone who's looking at his stats here, certainly been kind of improving every year. COVID season definitely, put a little damper here, but last season, bang, came back 31 goals, dude. 70 games too, seemingly, playing a good chunk of games every year. You're not really struggling that much with injury, it looks like, or being a healthy scratch or anything. Yeah, I mean, he's got some really good numbers. I would just be worried. I mean, Vancouver's gonna want a lot for him. He's a center, which is good too. I wonder what his face-off percentage, dude. Where are we here? So far, he's got a nice, wins by 55% of his face-offs, which is about where Trocheck is about. 50% is where Trocheck is around right now, which is good. It's great.
Hedel and Laffy.
Oh man, dude, I would definitely give up. I would toss Lafreniere out there for sure.
Yeah,
maybe even Kravtsov, honestly.
Interesting.
Hedel would be kind of tough. Canucks won't make it. Need some assets. Yeah, I know they certainly do.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a tough trade.
It's just like one of those. This is the same thing when we're talking baseball and trying to acquire a guy. Oh, we'll give him this guy, that guy, but you have to look at it on the perspective of the other team, and they are going to want a lot, and it might be someone who's one of our better starting players. So I don't know, unless we're giving multiple years of first round picks, and we know that that's not always the best idea either.
It's not.
So I guess let's be Boston. Maybe we could work within Tony.
Yeah, that would be dope, dude. Again, if bring up Kravtsov, I think is a solid move, and if he kind of can capture lightning in a bottle, Brian.
Wait, what's the because is that the guy they were talking about last night or no? Who was the guy that he was off waivers and he's like 23 years old? They interviewed him after the first.
Oh no, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but they picked him up off of Seattle, maybe.
Okay, but he's not like it's not like he was like a first round pick. I think he was.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah. Did you see that interview? He was like
kind of
nervous.
He was.
Yeah,
I know he's really young. I know that probably hasn't really been interviewed a lot, dude.
Yeah.
It's Lake Shannon. Oh, for Vegas. Vegas is waivers.
Oh, okay.
23 years old. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, hasn't played a whole lot. Looks like 42 games played. Last season, 2 goals, 4 assists. Yeah. Center. Not much production out of him.
And Jade Zodiac also says, if you're making a cup run, we have seen teams unload the farm.
Teams, yeah.
So maybe a couple first round picks, Tony. I mean, but then it's tough because then you're doing that, and then it's like you still have to face Boston and Toronto.
I know.
So tricky spot.
Yeah, because you do have to think about it like that. It's like, yeah, you get Bo, you give up these first round picks, but I mean, are you really a Horvat away from beating the Bruins in the Eastern Conference Finals?
I think you're a McDavid
to beating possibly Edmonton in the Cup final. Who knows? I think it's going to be super tough. Bo's a big guy who can hit and take a hit. That's certainly one thing that the Rangers don't have is physicality.
Right.
At least from a forward perspective, So it's something interesting to consider. But again, I mean, I don't know. It's gonna be tough to pull the trigger on giving up those picks. But again, when you think about it, like, I guess you can say we've wasted some first round picks.
Yeah.
Lafreniere isn't playing out as much as we want to. Kakko isn't either.
Kakko, I think, still could be crazy.
He still could be crazy for sure. Again, I think he's maturing enough. He's certainly, putting him on like the bigger lines on the first line stuff. Like you see him kind of understanding what he should be doing. So that's good. But I don't know. I mean, again, if Vancouver were to put a package together and kind of pitch it to the Rangers, I mean, dude, 31 goals isn't anything to sneeze at,
Right.
that's definitely the goal scoring we need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for this stretch run here. I'm
Oh,
excited
yeah.
for the Bruins game on Thursday. That's gonna be great. Nice to get some rest after those, couple games there. So we'll see. And I think that one thing, kind of just to close out this point that we have on our side is we got some good veterans that have been there before. You think about Kreider, once he's 100% healthy. And the fact with the tender, you know what I mean? We have one of the better tenders in the league. We know how important that could be in the playoffs. And obviously, Bruins haven't struggled with much, but we haven't faced them yet. So who knows? We might be. I would imagine we should be somewhat of a tough matchup for them. I feel good about us defending them. I'm just more nervous about scoring against them because we've seen the Rangers get in some droughts. So
Yeah.
that's why, it probably is going to be necessary to be taken seriously as a contender to acquire some type of goal scorer.
I'm worried about the whole aspect, honestly, of the game, really.
Shesterkin, though, it's not like he implodes, though.
No, he's not going to implode, but
Yeah.
Bruins.
Yeah. But also, law of averages due to kind of fall off. So we'll see.
Yeah. Very true.
I'll feel very, very good there, Tony. I'll feel great if they beat very good there. They beat the Bruins. So let's just do that.
Oh, I'd feel really good.
Go from there.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely, Tony. So other than that, I know we have a very special episode of Screen Time coming up.
Oh, man. Yeah. At noon. So, again, stick around, maybe get some lunch in this little break you're going to have. Come back at noon. Manny, Michael, and I will be sitting around here. We're talking The Last of Us. I don't know if you've heard about this show, Brian, or the video game, because it's a show based on the video game on HBO Max. Pedro Pascal, very hot right now, also plays the Mandalorian. Zombie apocalypse show. It looks awesome. First episode came out on Sunday, so we're reviewing it here on Tuesday. Gonna be dope. Are you familiar with it at all, Brian?
As you can imagine, I am not familiar with it. But
not even the game.
One thing that I am familiar with is all of you guys, you, Manny, Jay, Michael, your depth of knowledge, every episode, about these type of things. And one thing I would say, and obviously, we've produced some stuff ourselves here, but I think if we could take over production on a mass scheme, I think that was what could save the show industry. That's the problem. I think that people struggle for different things. And that's why, unfortunately, not as good of a quality it comes out right now as compared to 10 years ago, let's say.
No, yeah, I think you're right.
People are running out of ideas.
Yeah. I was just going to mention, you think of a lot of the content coming out now.
It's trash.
It's rehash, remakes, sequels, prequels. There isn't a whole lot of, I think, original scripts going out around. As my mother checks in and says, "Hello, fellas."
Do we know about the Dadalorian?
Get it right, Dadalorian. It's because of in the show he kind of babysits Grogu, the little baby Yoda guy.
Mm-hmm.
So Dadalorian. You're not a fan of the show, are you, Mandalorian? And,
as you can imagine, Tony.
It's all right, dude. Also, speaking of Mandalorian, new trailer came out season 3.
Saw that preview last night on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, so that's gonna be pretty stoked. Again, the same guy, who plays Mandalorian in this big time show for HBO. He's having a hell of a career bump. So we're talking about that, watching the trailer. Manny's got a few things to say about the show Last of Us. I know that. Watched this episode last night, Brian. 1.5 hour long episode of a show. How do you think I feel about that?
All I would say is you, Michael, Jay, Manny, you guys are meant to save this industry.
Yes,
you really are.
I agree.
Because it needs help. It needs it now. And Jade talking about an L, and how about them Cowboys? And credit where credit's due, a flawless game last night for the Dallas Cowboys. If you'd like, Jade, you could rewind, and we talked in depth about that. Dak Prescott playing the best game of his career and setting up a rematch for last year's divisional matchup against San Francisco. So we all can't wait to watch that one, and I know Tony couldn't agree more.
No, I really can't.
Are you excited to save the movie industry?
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Just talking about it right now, I do feel a little bit of pressure, I think, on our shoulders But hey, man, pressure makes diamonds.
And you know what? One last thing on this topic too is I feel like I'm sure over the years you guys will pull in the big names, but I think you'll show that it's not just about the big names. It's about the content. It's about the way that it's delivered. And I think that's the trap that people fall in. Oh, we'll get Brad Pitt. So that means this is going to be an instant success. But the thought process, the whole process, the people behind the scenes, clearly there's some disconnect there. And I know you guys are up for the task.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Brian.
No. But that being said, I mean, what a day. What a life. And really appreciate everybody tuning in. And nice to get to know Jade. First time commenter on the show as far as I've seen. I don't know if he's popped on Screen Time.
No, I don't think so. Hopefully today he will.
But yeah, keep following along. We cover hockey in depth. I know you're a big hockey guy and football, of course, with the Cowboys. But also, everybody enjoys Screen Time, like we said, 12 o'clock. And just keep commenting, liking, subscribing. Checking out those archives on the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee in costume, as well as the merch at downtimetv.com. Everybody enjoy the day, enjoy Screen Time, enjoy the games, and we will see you mañana.
Keith.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do.